Michael Crick of Channel 4 News did an incredible job of speaking truth to power. So he interviewed UK Prime Minister Theresa May in South Africa and asked her about her history, her record on apartheid. Watch.
But I began my interview earlier this afternoon by raising the Robben Island trip and the whole question of Nelson Mandela. Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour leader's record on apartheid is well known. He was even arrested once outside South Africa House. But I asked Mrs May what her record was. Mrs May, you're about to visit Robben Island. You were active in politics in the 70s and 80s. What did you do to help release Nelson Mandela?
Well, I think what is important is what the United Kingdom did. And
what did you do? What did you do? Did you go on protests? Did you get arrested outside the embassy? Did you boycott South African goods? Did you do anything?
I think you know full well that I didn't go on protests, Michael. But what is important is the work that the United Kingdom...
Well, did you boycott South African goods?
The work that the United Kingdom government did to ensure that it was able to give support where that support was needed.
Hang on a moment. At that stage, Mrs Thatcher believed that Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Were you a loyal Conservative Party member? Did you think the same thing?
What was important was the support that the UK government was giving at the time, often support behind the scenes, but in other ways too.
But not Theresa May.
To ensure that we saw the result that we did in relation to the ending of apartheid here in South Africa.
A government led by a woman who thought that Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Now you're going to be going to Robben Island. Aren't you going to be feeling guilty that at the time Nelson Mandela was on Robben Island, you, Theresa May, did nothing to help his release, you personally?
What I will be feeling, I think, when I go to Robben Island, is to recognise the immense statesmanship of a man who spent so many years incarcerated.
So that was just absolutely beautiful. Now, I cut May's answer short there at the end because she goes on to give a bullshit answer and doesn't address any of the questions here. So, look, this is how you speak truth to power. Here Michael Crick is asking her, what did you do to release Nelson Mandela? What did you do to fight apartheid? We know Corbyn's record on this, and I'm going to show an image of that in a second. But what did she do? Nothing. She couldn't even answer the question about whether she thought Nelson Mandela was a terrorist at the time. This is unbelievable. This is what the press should be doing day in, day out. This is how you speak truth to power. Now, one quote there I want to share from May. I think you know full well that I didn't go on protest, Michael. just full on. I mean, that's all she can say because she didn't. This is somebody who has a history of being on the wrong side of issues. So again, Michael Crick here, just a fantastic job of questioning Theresa May. Now, let me show you some reaction here. So this is a tweet from the General Secretary of the Labour Party, Jenny Formby. She tweeted out, "She did nothing to protest against apartheid. She didn't boycott South African goods. She didn't challenge Thatcher and other Tories calling Nelson Mandela a terrorist. To those of us who did all those things, it's nauseating to see Theresa May visiting Robben Island for a photo op." And Owen Jones also reacted here saying, "You were either on the right side of history over apartheid, or you were on the wrong side. The Tories were led by someone who labeled Nelson Mandela a terrorist, whose members wore Hang Nelson Mandela badges. Don't let them forget it." And this from El Cristo. "Theresa May supported South African apartheid. She supported Israeli apartheid, Iraq war, and fox hunting. She's consistently been on the wrong side of every major issue in modern history, and Corbyn has been on the right side. But somehow he's the radical?" Yeah, exactly. Corbyn keeps being attacked, but he's being attacked by the establishment press, the elite press, the press that doesn't want to see a Labour Party actually stand up for real people. But when you actually look at Corbyn's history, he has been on the right side of all these issues. So here's an image of him from 1984 with being carried away by the police here with a sign saying, "Defend the right to demonstrate against apartheid. Join this picket." So I think this is incredibly important. It's really important to look at the history of these politicians, what their track record is. Now, again, people make mistakes and they're going to be on the wrong side of issues. But if you are on the wrong side of issue, or you have been on the wrong side of an issue, admit to it. All Theresa May had to do there was say, yeah, you know what? I got caught up in the propaganda at the time. I was wrong. I have now learned and changed my ways. That's all she had to do. But instead, she tries to pivot and talk about, oh, but the UK government has been supporting of South Africa, and just a complete bullshit answer. Everybody sees through that. All you have to do is, if you're on the wrong side of an issue, is admit to it and talk about how and show how you've learned and changed. But if you're somebody like a Jeremy Corbyn or like a Bernie Sanders who have a documented history of being on the right side of issues, these are the leaders. These are people that all of us should look up to and trust. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button below and consider becoming a patron at therationalnational.com/join. You get some extra content, but also, most importantly, you help support me in continuing to produce these sorts of videos.